For all kinds of reasons, a regular thing that people have concern about, when it's up, when it's down, and every which way, is the housing market. And recently, housing prices, of course, have been very strong throughout most of the United States and parts of the rest of the Western world. And on the other hand, we haven't seen a huge housing boom. Housing is strong, but not overwhelmingly so in terms of volume. And in terms of its economic impact, it's the volume that really matters more than the pricing. The pricing is really a result, in my opinion, and it's an opinion, not a fact, that during COVID, what people came to learn as they were cooped in from lockdowns in different timing in different places is that their home was more important to them than they thought it was before COVID. Because before COVID, they were out and about more, they were in the workplace more, on non-work times, they were out in their world more, and COVID restricted them. And so there has been this widespread tendency to upgrade, to move to bigger, to move to what's deemed as better, to move toward further away often from where they were to a more advantaged location, whatever that means to people in their own individual circumstance. And from that, you have had a fairly heavy bidding up of pricing. I do not think that goes away. I think that lesson was strong enough from COVID that over the next few years, people will continue to value that home. In parallel, and this is not about housing per se, but in parallel, there's been another feature that I think amplifies that, reinforces it, which is that we have a long history of how much of consumer spending is on goods versus services. And of course, that wobbles around a little over time, but when we actually look at the long term, it wobbles around over time in a relatively tight bandwidth. When COVID hit, it changed. First, some of services no one could do because things like storefront services were just shut down for the most part. Not completely, but mostly. Most medical services that were not urgent emergencies were shut down for a long time, and you know that. And in that time period, as people were shut in their homes, they started buying goods. And the purchase of goods went through the roof in all-time record and has not yet fully come back down. And what people realized, I think, is that if I'm shut into my home, I want one of these, and I want one of those, and I want three of the other. And I want to get really good ones because I had a lousy one before, but now that I'm stuck here in my home all the time, I want to get a really good one. And so the purchase of goods went through the roof, and once you get all those goods that you wanted, that you like, then being back in that house becomes more important to you, and it reinforces the desire to be in a nice house with your nice things that you came to like and purchase during the lockdown periods and the fearful periods of COVID. So I think the pricing remains strong for some years. I don't know that the volume changes very much. And particularly, it's hard for the volume to change during this intermediate term period ahead where we continue to have supply chain problems that were originally brought on by the lockdown, release, re-lockdown, lockdown these things, not those things, lockdown over here, not over there, and then that supply chain disruption being further reinforced by what has more recently been the Russian war on Ukraine. So that's basically my summary, and I think for the next few years, in a summary sense, we can say pricing remains relatively strong, volume doesn't grow to be terribly robust. Thank you for listening to me. Subscribe to the Fisher Investment YouTube channel if you like what you've seen. Click the bell to be notified as soon as we publish new videos.